Joining me now, former federal prosecutor and NBC News legal analyst Glenn Kirshner, former U.S. attorney and MSNBC legal analyst Barbara McQuaid, and former spokesperson for the House Oversight Committee and advisor for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Kurt Bardella. Glenn, I want to start with you. Despite the Republican gaslighting that we've been living through for the past several months, this hearing was somewhat of a reset. What are your top takeaways from today?
So my top takeaways, Zerlina, is first of all, the testimony of those 4 police officers who protected everyone in the U.S. Capitol and in a very real sense protected our democracy. Their heroism and the heroism of all of the other officers who served that day cannot be overstated. And as somebody who spent a career in law enforcement, it's hard to watch that and to appreciate exactly what happened and what they experienced. I mean, when Harry Dunn talked about how Donald Trump's supporters not only treated him and assaulted him, but the racial epithets they yelled at him in uniform as he was protecting the people in the U.S. Capitol, that moved me to tears. And then I was moved to anger near the end of the hearing when he talked about the hitman analogy, which he broke down beautifully and eloquently. When somebody orders a hit, not only does the person who carries out the hit go to jail, be held accountable, the person who ordered the hit, the person who commissioned the crime also needs to be held accountable. The president and the others who spoke and incited that day were the ones who commissioned the crime that these 4 men testified about today. And I certainly hope that my former colleagues at the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office are working their way up the criminal ladder.
I think that is exactly the tone that I took away from today's hearings, Glenn. And I think that, that's important as we head into probably what's coming up, perhaps some subpoenas and additional witnesses. Liz Cheney has gone as far to suggest that Jim Jordan, Kevin McCarthy, and even Donald Trump be subpoenaed by the committee, which probably will do away with the somber tone. But do you see that any of that happening, and who else do you want to hear from in terms of witnesses that would help fill in the blanks?
I would sure like to hear from everybody who has any relevant information about why there was such a failure of response, a failure of intelligence. And let me build on a great point that Barb made about the failures here. Who did we hear from today? We heard from officers from only 2 law enforcement agencies. The Capitol Police, that's a law enforcement agency under the control of Congress, the only one under the control of Congress, and the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, that's a law enforcement agency under the control of the city of the District of Columbia and Mayor Muriel Bowser. Who did we not see? Who did we not have present to defend the Capitol? The countless federal law enforcement agencies available to Donald Trump's executive branch that day: FBI, ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, Park Police, and the Bureau of Prisons Riot Squad. All of those agencies, Zerlina, took some part in dealing with security issues during the BLM protests. Why was the Capitol deprived of all executive branch law enforcement agencies that could have been deployed, that could have been there to protect the U.S. Capitol that day? Was this a failure or was it an orchestration? That's one of the main questions we need answered.